Welcome, Night Owls, to the Book Club After Dark podcast, an inviting moonlit podcast. I'm your host, Danny.
And I'm Michelle. We break down fantasy, romantasy, and thriller novels.
All things enchanting, intriguing, suspenseful, and maybe a little spicy.
Each episode features intimate discussions on captivating stories, character breakdowns, fan theories, and more. And this is your content warning. This podcast contains mature themes and discussion that may not be suitable for all audiences. Episodes include explicit language and descriptions of mature romance, as well as depictions of violence and other intense subject matter. This podcast is rated R for mature audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
Going forward from here, this is your spoiler warning for the Ruinous Love series. It is not your spoiler warning for Taurus season, not yet, but this is going to be talking about Ruinous Love by the one and only Brynne Weaver, because tonight we are interviewing her in this episode, and I'm so fucking excited to welcome Brynne fucking Weaver to the show.
So let's get cozy, because the best stories are told after dark.
So tonight's drink of the episode, because of course we have to have a drink of the episode, I am calling the Raven, and it's right here. I've been on like a lately, like a crushed ice kick. I'm really liking the snow crushed ice feel. And I feel like because we're going on kind of like vacay in this book, sort of with Taurus season, and we also have a new animal sidekick, which is really fun. I thought the Raven made with blackberry was a nod to Butcher and Blackbird. Also the Raven, we have a bird that talks in Taurus season. I thought it would be really fun to have a drink called the Raven. And in it is blackberry, fresh lime juice, very important that it's fresh lime juice, vodka, or your liquor of choice. Really, you could do rum with this too. And I did vodka, but up to you. Top it with lime sparkling water after you've mixed everything, and that will give you this really beautiful, this is blackberry puree in there that gives you that gorgeous color, really dark, rich, purpley color to it. It's delicious. You can make this as a mocktail very, very easily. Still delicious, refreshing. So for Bryn Weaver, we have our drink of the episode. Cheers.
Cheers. Definitely sounds good as a mocktail too. And you can add whatever flavor.
It's delicious.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you could do tequila. I mean, it doesn't matter. You could put whatever spirit you want. I think bourbon would work well. It's a super versatile drink. Tonight, I'm going to read, before we get started with our episode with Brynne, the blurb of what we are going to be talking about with her new book, which releases September 23rd. So right before her tour kind of kicks off in full, our episode is releasing. I'm so excited for you all to listen to it. I can't wait for you. I cannot tell you what it's been like to keep the fact that we're interviewing her kind of under wraps. It has been a secret that's been very hard for us to keep. We are so excited for you to listen to this episode and this interview with her. It's a huge, huge turning point for us as part of the show. And you'll kind of hear us talk about Brynne with that. And we're so grateful to have her. It's just a really exciting time for Book Club After Dark. And we have so many really cool things going on. But I digress. Taurus season drops September 23rd. I want to read to you all kind of the blurb about Taurus season. We all know that this is going to be a trilogy. And so here goes. Here's what we've got as for what we know. Cape Carnage is a seaside town of colorful houses, quirky shops, and an unusually high body count. But with Taurus comes trouble, and Harper Sterling won't let anyone ruin her picture-perfect home. A skilled gardener with killer instincts, Harper protects her sanctuary at any cost, especially for her aging mentor with a fading memory. Troublesome tourists don't check out of Carnage, they compost beneath Harper's award-winning flower beds. But Nolan Rhodes isn't your average tourist. Devilishly handsome, disarmingly charming, and skilled with a blade, Nolan is relentless in the pursuit of revenge. On every anniversary of the hit-and-run accident that fractured his life, Nolan slays another target. And he saved the best for last, the undeniably beautiful Harper Starling. The problem, Harper isn't the monster he expected, and she won't go down without a fight. When an amateur true crime investigator comes to Cape Carnage on the trail of a long-lost serial killer, Harper and Nolan strike an easy truce. If Nolan helps Harper protect her town, she'll keep quiet about his hunting habits. For now. But their alliance soon spirals into obsession, one that threatens to shatter every secret in Carnage, including their fragile love. Taurus season is a darkly funny, slow burn, enemies to lovers romance where destruction and desire are balanced on the edge of a blade, and where love is the most dangerous battleground of all.
Tonight, we're interviewing Brynne Weaver and discussing her new book, Taurus Season, which is the first novel in the Seasons of Carnage trilogy. We may also talk a little bit Ruinous Love, but mostly our focus is going to be on Taurus Season. We're also going to talk about her movie deal with Butcher and Blackbird, which is coming soon. We're going to talk all the details of that. We're going to talk about her tour, and we may go off the rails a little bit, but it's a fun time. So whether you're reading along with us or just here for the book talk, we are glad you're here.
So glad. Let's do this.
All right, Night Owls. Joining us tonight is our favorite ruiner of food, author of beloved Animal Sidekicks, comedic dark romance author Brynne Weaver. Brynne is the author of the Shadow Realm series, the Ruinous Love trilogy, and the Seasons of Carnage trilogy, which the first book of which releases Taurus Season on September 23rd. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Brynne.
Thank you so much for having me.
We're
super
so
excited to have you.
So excited. So we're going to hop right into your journey as an author. So talk to us about your journey of becoming an author. What drew you into writing dark romance novels and writing in general?
Yeah, I mean, I've been writing for pretty much as long as I can remember. Like, even when I was a little kid on my grandmother's typewriter, I'd be like, if it was raining outside, I'd be like typing one finger at a time on her typewriter when I was like 5. And then when I was a teenager, I would just like handwrite stories, which have hopefully like been burned or whatever. Hopefully they'll never come to light, but I probably wrote like 5 or 6 books that way.
Wow.
And then it was kind of like my switch off. It was always my switch off thing to do. And then I kind of fell out of it. I think for some reason I got it into my head that you had to write a certain way, and I was maybe doing it wrong. Like, because a lot of people will tell you that like you have to plot or outline. And so I think I figured I was doing it wrong for some reason. And then, about 5 years ago, I just decided, no, I was going to just write projects the way I wanted to, have fun the way I wanted to, and finish something, just doing my own process. So I committed to just writing every single day, which is what I do, whether I'm hungover or sick or whatever it is. Like, I will at least write one sentence, but usually many more than that. And I just started, and I'm a pretty stubborn person, so just kept going. Yeah. So it's kind of been a life journey. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Was it always, like in your teen years, was it always like dark romance, or was that
Oh.
later? Oh, yeah. Okay.
Oh, no. It was like, sometimes it was like paranormal romance. Like, I remember writing one about this girl that is like a very bold opening. She like it gets hit by a Mack truck. I remember
no.
it's like very specifically a Mack truck. And this is why they should all be burned. She goes to heaven, and then she's sent back to Earth on some kind of like mission. I don't remember anything else beyond that, but I do remember the Mack truck very specifically. I remember there was another one where it was like it was often like a found family kind of situation. And it was a group of friends who were like eco warriors and maybe kind of eco terrorists. There was some romance in there as
Fine
well.
line.
Not so dark, but definitely like had the paranormal vibes, at least for the Mack truck ones.
Well, and you
Michelle,
talked
you're gonna
about
ask
your
something.
process. Yeah, you talked about your process, and you would just write. Do you free write, or do you kind of come in with a plan, or just kind of let the pen take you as you're going?
I'm definitely a pantser, so I don't like plot anything in advance. I do have a general idea of like what I want, where I want the story to go. I don't always have the ending in my head or even who the antagonist is, but I like have an idea of what I want to do in broad strokes, or I'll have like specific scenes that I know that I want to do that mean something to like the characters in the book. So sometimes I'll start in the middle, like I'll start at a scene, whatever is like bright to me, anything that's vivid, I'll start sometimes there. And then I'll kind of like bounce around a lot. I tend to bounce around a lot. I don't tend to write in a linear fashion usually. Yeah, so it sounds like a lot of chaos. It probably is a lot of chaos for people. Like I'll have maybe like 5 different scenes going. Once I'm really into the throes of a book, I might have 5 or 6 different scenes going. so that I can write depending on like my mood. But I
Okay.
have a general sense of like where in the storyline that they're eventually going to fit in. Yeah.
That's
That's really
awesome.
interesting.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
never thought of that. Like, especially since your novels are so well put together and all the characters intertwine so well. I would think
Yeah.
you're a plotter, not, chaos.
I totally would. Yeah.
It's total chaos. Yeah, no, it's complete chaos. Like
I
I
love
always
that.
have an idea of like what I want the characters to be experiencing at that time in that scene. But I think like yeah, I just tend to bounce around a lot. So there's a scene in tourist season, for example, where they're in a theater and Nolan and Harper are sitting next to each other, and Arthur is there, who is Harper's mentor. And there's like a bit of a scene there. And I knew that it would be like as they're starting to come together more as a couple. But I bounced way ahead to like write that scene. And then I had to like kind of knit it in. But I had an idea, right? Of like, this is the kind of conversation they're having. This is how much like angst is in it, or this is how they're sniping at each other. But beyond that, yeah, I end up going and knitting them all together.
Yeah. I have a follow-up to that. So when we were covering Butcher and Blackbird, you get introduced to like everyone that's going to be in the trilogy in book one. Is that a type of your process that we'll see in the next trilogy? Or are we going to be introduced to I don't, no intention of like major spoilers, but is that part of your process that we kind of get to know, then that they're kind of layered in? I'm curious if that'll be the case here.
So this, and I'm not sure if you know this yet, but it's not interconnected standalones. It's one trilogy of like it's the same couple throughout the whole.
Okay.
Okay.
So in that regard, like there aren't introductions to other like new couples that you're going to like see necessarily in the first one. But there are additional major players who will come into the book like in the second, and I don't know about the third book yet because I've only just started it, but definitely in the second there are some new characters that'll kind of come in to play and have a significant role in the third book so far. So yeah.
Okay. Got it. That's wild.
Yeah.
I have always thought you were a planner too. And it's interesting to me, like, it's always an interesting question to ask writers their process because it's never what you think it's going to be. And it's always interesting to hear. I honestly like that you found the courage to go back and start again without giving two shits what the standard norm is. That's encouraging because even for us, we are two full-time working moms who have this dream to create a book podcast. And the number of times that we're like, well, other book podcasts exist, or, oh no, you have to like do it like this, or you have to post however many times a day. You have to like invest so many things. Like the amount of times that you hear like discouraging things is very frequent before we even started, just like before we even had the first episode, you know what I mean? And it's just like watching other, particularly women, but anyone in general, like go after something that pushes against that mold and is tremendously successful, which you are, is an inspiration for us. So that's like something really cool. So I just want.
No, I think it's great that you're doing that and like not trying not to listen to the noise, because I think in anything, like any new venture, any creative venture, which is what you're doing, like people are going to be there to say like, you have to do it this way because it's what worked for me. But especially in a creative venture, really, I feel like you can't necessarily subscribe to that thinking because it's going to inhibit your creativity in the end. So you just kind of have to go a little bit trial and error, a little bit of just like trusting your gut and trusting your instincts and kind of just go for it in the way that makes sense to you, and trust that you'll be able to learn from whatever mistakes that you make along the way. I think it takes a lot of like trusting yourself, and with yours and with mine as well. Like, you just have to learn to rely on yourself.
On that note, I wanted to mention imposter syndrome. And so I wonder too if for anyone coming into any creative space, I think even the biggest players, once they've reached that top, which everyone always sees success as like completely linear, like, oh, we just became successful. You don't see all the hard work in the background. But I think imposter syndrome is likely part of of that feeling of constantly like, am I doing it right? And feeling like, am I good enough to be in this space? Do I have something to offer? And trying to like work through those kind of fucked up mind games that your brain puts on you that aren't really real. I mean, these are not real things, but your brain like makes them so powerfully real. And bringing in your characters deal with a lot of internal dialogue, especially like Sloane in the book one and you of Ruinous Love. But in general, I'm curious, in the new trilogy, will we see some of that internal dialogue from your characters and kind of how they're dealing with just mental things that they're working through? Because I really admire that in this series.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely. I think that's stylistically like part of what I like to do is have that interiority and like the characters' thoughts about themselves or each other or the world. Like I think just like my style is to kind of incorporate that because I want to really be and help the reader get into their heads and see what their motivations are. So definitely Harper and Nolan both have a lot of stuff to work through. And so there is a lot of like exploring why they're thinking or doing certain things or thinking about each other in specific ways, because they're definitely enemies. They really hate each other at the beginning. But they also, they both have their own hangups, their own traumas to kind of process and try to get past. So there's for sure a lot of like exploration of that. But also coupled with that, there's like a lot of stuff going on. Like there are multiple like subplots kind of happening. And so they're trying to deal with themselves and each other while also dealing with all this other shit that's going on. So yeah, I think it's a stylistic thing for sure.
That's awesome. So where did you find your inspiration for Taurus season specifically? Because this is a whole new type of realm that you're going into with this new series.
Yeah, that actually came from, and I don't want to like spoil too much, but
Yes, don't
potential
spoil too much.
spoilers. Yeah, potential spoilers, but I'm not going to spoil too much. Actually, it's been rolling around in my head weirdly for a couple of years, because usually when I have like, I do, I guess, have stories in my head that I'd like to get to and just don't have time to get to often. But this one started from a question that the director of the B&B movie asked me when the very first time I spoke to him. And he was the very first person that I talked to in all that span of like entertainment discussions, of which we had probably like a dozen, I would say, talking to different potential parties who wanted to like buy the rights. And we kind of like, we'd have discussions with them and then sort of like narrow it down. He was the very first person I talked to, though. And he had the book with him. I'll never forget it. He had the book and it was like all marked up and he had already like, it was already kind of like dog-eared because he had read it a couple of times and he was so prepared for the conversation. And he asked me all these like incredible questions and so insightful. And he really truly understood the characters. And he asked me a question I could not answer. And it stuck in my head. And the question was, what happened to Autumn Bauer? And I was like, I did not expect you to ask that question. And I did not expected to have an answer for that. And I like had an idea of what, like, I knew why I had her in the book, obviously. Like, I knew that it was a pivotal moment to be able to show Sloane's empathy. Like, she is so empathetic that she would literally take the shirt off her back for this woman, while Rowan is so obsessed with Sloane that it's almost as though Autumn doesn't even exist. Like his sole focus is Sloane. So I knew that like Autumn, obviously she like runs away, she gets away, and I thought, oh, she'd just like find the authorities or whatever. But when he asked that question, I really thought about it for like a long time, and it just kept popping up. And when I was writing Silent Sparrow, I was like, I think I need to find a way to answer that question in this new series and see what happens. So that's where it came from. As a lot of inspiration does, it comes from like questions that stick with me, I think. And the more I think about them, the more a potential story comes out of them. So,
And on that note, I personally, one of the things that I noted when we did our coverage too, and something I really liked that you've incorporated is like this love for the elderly. You have done that really well, and in a genre that is like probably least expected to find that in. It's, but you make like Aunt Ethel, for example, the sisters who are helping Fionn with his needling and crocheting, and just this the way that you're able to take elderly characters and give them true life and story, and it's not just about their ailment or a way that it's bringing a character down. If anything, these characters are absolutely lifting the story in a positive way. Is that something we might see in tourist season? You kind of teased that a little bit. There was a post you had that referenced, I think it was dementia, but I wasn't sure like where you were going with that. And I'm like eager to know if there's some parts of that are being incorporated in this trilogy.
I really appreciate that you said that and that you feel that way. And it is really important to me personally. And like I was raised like by a single mom and by my grandparents, my maternal grandparents, like from a very young age, from like 2 years old. And so I was always like comfortable being around elderly people and could see how complex, like I think it's a common problem in society that we often like reduce elderly people to just, just shells of themselves. I don't know why we do that. It's really awful. And I grew up seeing my grandparents who were like very strong-willed and had lived these incredible lives and had so many amazing stories to share. And then I later on in life saw the decline due to Alzheimer's. So I was front and center, like seeing that and doing a lot of looking after my grandfather in particular. And yeah, it's really important to me to be able to show elderly people as what they really are, smart, capable, funny, full of life,
Kind of spicy.
still, and what's that?
Kind of spicy.
A little sharp, a little murdery
A
sometimes.
little bit.
And I really wanted to this time like tackle dementia. I felt like I was ready to like have a character who had that kind of condition. And I spent a lot of time like in my former job, which I only just like left in January. I spent a lot of that time in neurodegenerative research and specifically in Alzheimer's disease. So for me, it was like a nice way to like round out that whole experience of having a loved one or loved ones that have the condition to like going to a job where I was focused on the science of it and now like being able to incorporate in my writing. So yeah, Arthur is a total badass. He's very grumpy. He is a not so retired serial killer. He's very fashionable. He loves opera and very cool movies. And he's just like, oh, he is just such a fun character to write. Just love him.
Can't wait to read
now
him.
I'm really
Now
excited to
I'm
meet
so excited
him.
for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's so funny.
Oh.
Like every time I get to put him on the page, it's just like, I never know what's going to come out of his mouth. There are a couple of characters like that. And sometimes it's the bad guy too, like the bad guy in Silent Sparrow, especially at the end, getting to do more of Leander and, just some of the bad characters or like the Force Phantom, getting to do him in Leather and Lark. Like they're just really fun when you put them on the page because you never quite know what they're going to say. And Arthur is very much like that, even though he's not the bad guy. So.
Okay. That's fun.
Was there anything that Arthur did with minimal spoilers that really surprised you in terms of his character? Since you're talking about how like you don't know what he's going to do until you write it. Was there something that really just like, or like, whoa, that happened?
Yeah, there were a couple of things. One I can't spoil. One is like right in the beginning. It's like the whole way that he like just comes out into the story. It's like I didn't expect that he was going to enter that way. And because I'm not like, I'm just sort of like writing when I'm seeing and like if the scene sort of builds and builds. Yeah, it was surprising even to me, like the way he decided to like, I am here. I enter. And Harper is surprised as well. She's not expecting the way he like shows up that particular morning. So like a lot of the time that he would come up, it was a surprise in what he would say or do, which was just so fun. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I can't wait to meet him. I'm really excited. So, question on your process. You've kind of gotten into it a little bit, but do you have any like strange or what you would consider weird, like what writer quirks, like times specifically you want to write, or a specific keyboard or typewriter or something that you have to use as your method? Is there like a certain song, like is there anything that's weird or different that you utilize for your writing process?
Probably no, probably not. Like I'll migrate from this office with my whole like, I'll have my screen and my keyboard and stuff, but I'll happily like write out on our covered deck and I'll just use my laptop. My first book that I wrote was like 90% of it, I would say, I wrote on my phone. Yeah, I like
Wow.
to have music. That's one thing I like to do is write to music. So all of the playlists that I put into my books are things that I actually listen to. And I like to get like the very specific vibe to go with a scene. So I'll often like play that song if I get a really good one that like really fits a very emotional scene or a scene with a lot of action, then I'll play that song, like, continuously until I'm done the scene, which must be so annoying for my family. But other than that, no, I can kind of, like I think I maybe have a bit of a routine that I prefer to write in the afternoons because there's just usually so much shit I have to do in the morning, like with emails and or
Fair.
meetings or whatever, right? So I like to try and get into the afternoon where it's less interruption. Yeah. But other than that, no, I can like go anywhere, write on anything, write on my phone, write on a plane, like as long as I'm sucked into the story. Yeah.
I noticed there's a lot of Sleep Token on the new playlist. I'm pretty excited about that. So, or were any of the songs that you had that you were like, you seem pretty animated. You're like, I'll have a song that I've listened to like a bunch of times in a specific scene. Like, what was coming to you while you were explaining that, or were you just like in general? Did you have something that you're like a memory of something that specifically stuck out?
There were a couple of songs in tourist season. Like there's a scene that I won't give away, but it's like kind of a heavier scene and you don't quite know what's going to happen and there's like a lot of action. There's like kind of a big thing that happens and it's a very much a turning point for Nolan in particular, but Nolan and Harper. And there were a few songs on that. There's a Sleep Token song, there's a Missio song. And when I was writing that, and like I'm very familiar with like Sleep Token and Missio in particular, but it's like all of a sudden it's like, oh, the lyrics go so well with this section as well. And usually I'm just doing it based on like vibes with the music. It's not always like, oh, the lyrics need to match the scene. But that was a case where it's like, whoa, the lyrics and the vibe and everything. A lot of the time in that book, it's like, oh, the lyrics really match for this scene. And that's really cool. But yeah, I think that particular chapter or two chapters really, it's like, oh, I was really happy with like how that piece came together and like with the music in particular. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Got
awesome.
sucked into it.
Can't wait.
I'm really horrible with like song titles and remembering them, but I just know it's like Sleep Token and Missio and there's Abyss, I think is the chapter. Yeah.
So when we cover books and we always pick like a book song for like when we drop the thumbnail for YouTube on socials, but we also do a song for like the drink of the episode. So like this is your drink of the episode, which I believe I'm going to be titling The Raven. We'll get into that in a little bit. But so the the reason I asked you that is like I'm trying to plan out. I'm like, okay, future Danny, past Danny is trying to set up for future Danny. Let me ask this question so I can figure out, okay, mind of the author, what are we thinking for a song, and just like trying to plot. So, I had my own selfish reasons for that question, but I also
I
wanted to
see.
know.
That makes sense. That makes
Yeah.
sense. I can send to you if it helps. Well, actually, I think the publisher just recently posted a thing with but I can like send you there's a chapter by chapter list, which I like to
Okay.
do. I like to do it by chapter because some people do like to listen to like the exact
Mm-hmm.
vibes of a particular chapter. So yeah, I can always send that to you.
Okay. Awesome.
Are there any we've talked a lot about your writing process and your habits and how it goes against the grain. Are there any habits you've thrown out or want to get better at as you've grown in your writing?
I think it's not it's so much a habit, but it's like a tendency to like repeat like I'll yeah, and I think a lot of authors suffer from this. Like I'll have a repetitive like word. I'll have like one word per book that and it'll be something really fucking random like once it was relish, like relish is the blah 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 relish, and like relish was freaking everywhere in the manuscript. And it's like I want to be a little bit more conscious of that as I'm going, so that it's not such a like cringe for me when I'm like editing the book later on, where I'm looking at it and just thinking like, why did I not see that I used that particular word 50 times? But other than that, like process wise, no, I'm like pretty happy with my process, and like I kind of trust that if I need to evolve something, I will. I think things just do evolve by the nature of like experience. But there's nothing in particular where I'm like, I wish I wouldn't do that. Yeah. Nothing that I want to chuck out. I definitely wouldn't want to start plotting because I think that would screw me up.
Your vibe writing
know what I
is
mean?
working.
Like it.
So don't
Yeah,
Yeah,
don't
vibe
mess
writing
with
is
it.
great. Yeah.
Exactly.
And I can't
Don't
like
mess
I've
with
got my little like technique for I if I know that I have certain things that I want to include, I'll like literally write down I have a PowerPoint going so I can keep track after I've done them of like what the chapters are, where the spice scenes are and stuff. It's literally like one line per chapter. It's like Harper does this, Nolan does that, and like spice in brackets. I like kind
I
of
was
like
just
keep
gonna
track
ask
of it
about-
that way.
yeah.
I can keep track of my dates because especially with tourist season and the second book, like there's a lot of dates of things to keep track of. And that's really useful. But other than that, I can't write down many notes because I will forget as soon as I've written it down. I forget it exists and I need to just have it in my head. So yeah, I think my process is working for now. But
Yeah.
happy to evolve it if I need.
I have a question on spice. So you mentioned how you have like the spice labeled and thing like that. But my question is, so one thing I did notice about your previous trilogy and what I'm trying to see if we're gonna get kind of in this future one is your spice is usually very, very particular to those characters, and you can see the characters in the spice scenes that they're in. It's not just your spice drives plot. It always does. And it has a reason. There's a reason it's there. It's driving the story. It's driving the plot. It's very intentional. And even what's happening in the spice is intentional and true to the characters. I love reading that type of spice. That's my favorite kind because it's true to the story. It's not just there to fill a page. Can you tell us a little bit about your process for writing that? Is it the same type of process that you use for the rest of the story? Do we not know what they're going to do in the spicy bedroom? Like or wherever they happen to be? They could also be next to some cotton candy machines. I don't know. But are we, what kind of happens and what do you do for that?
Yeah, I'm so glad that it comes off the page that way because it's definitely like what I like to read are spice scenes that have intention behind them as well. And I want that for my books. Like, I don't want it to just be like, oh, it needs to be the spiciest thing. And therefore, like, it's going to have another spice scene that has no, I want it to have a reason to be there. And I want it to be meaning something for the characters or the plot or the readers or whatever. So, yeah, I think I always have in my head, like, this is where they're at in their relationship, and this is what that intimate moment needs to achieve for them to move to something else, right? So in tourist season, like, they really, really hated each other at the beginning, like, a lot.
I'm so
And
excited.
like they are true enemies to lovers. In
Ooh.
fact, to the point where it was originally going to be, I was thinking it was going to be like independent or interconnected standalones. But when I got 2/3 of the way into the book, I was like, there's no way. Like they just hate each other so much for so long that their story needs to continue over 3 books. And fortunately, the publisher was like, okay, we'll trust you. Like, I don't know what you're doing. But yeah, like, so their first spice scene is like, it is a hate sex scene, and they still don't
Love it.
they're not willing to admit they're starting to like each other because they've hated each other so viscerally for a while.
fun.
So
Okay.
yeah, so very much like in line with that same kind of style of the previous trilogy where the spice scenes really mean something to them and their evolution as they go along.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you kind of talked to this a little bit just now, but kind of regarding character development in tourist season, you're getting to know your characters as you go, but I just want to know, like, are we going to have any MMCs, male main characters with accents? What are we doing?
Yes.
Boring question.
No, like, Yeah, Nolan has a sort of a subtle Tennessee accent, and
Okay.
he dials it up a notch when he wants to be like charming, because he's only really charming like when he wants to be, like when he wants something or he's trying to manipulate someone. So he kind of dials it up, but it's always sort of there. And I think Rob just did an exceptional job of really nailing like exactly what I had in my head, which was like it's a bit softer, and then those times like he just ramps it up a bit. But yeah, he's such a good fit for Nolan. And he and Sam, they just play off of each other so well. Like their chemistry in the audio is thing. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
I'm very
Sam's
excited for your
incredible.
audiobooks just because
Mhm.
your audiobooks have been like my favorite to listen to. I wasn't an audiobook girly until I started listening to yours, and just the picking of the voice actors and how they play off each other. And obviously it has to do with your writing and your writing style and how you bring comedy to something so dark. I don't it's like I shouldn't be laughing because there's so much dark shit going on, but it's hilarious what like the characters are saying. So just your audiobooks have been phenomenal and an amazing experience for me. It's
Thank you. I appreciate that so much. And I think they've like, yeah, I've been really lucky. Like they've had amazing production, and the people, all of the narrators are so skilled and have worked together very well. Yeah, I've been really, really fortunate because they've all been very well done. So yeah, I appreciate that. And working on STEM has just been like such a joy. Like I think we collaborate together so well. So it was great to be able to have her back for this in a totally new role. It's really fun.
awesome. Do you get to pick your voice? Are you a part of the picking process for your voice actors for your books?
Yeah,
Okay.
so when I did like the Butcher and Blackbird audiobook, that was when I was still self-published. So that was like separate. But then like now that I'm traditionally published and they manage all of like the audiobook stuff, they give me a list of auditions basically. And I already knew that I wanted to work with Sam on tourist season. I felt like she could really nail the emotional depth of Harper, and she's so collaborative, and like we just have such a great working relationship, so I wanted to have her back. And then yeah, the publisher gave me a selection of, I think it was like 5 or 6 different male narrators, and they were all really good. It was just like which one sounds like the man that I've been listening to in my head, and who really truly nails like the dark comedy edge while still being sort of like menacing but also being hot. Like yeah, I was trying to get that out of it. And the publisher picked a really great scene to be able to demonstrate that full range. Like there was a little bit of dark comedy. There was like he was being very menacing because he was talking about how he's going to kill Harper and all of this stuff, right? And Rob just like bang on got it.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, in tour season, what themes were most important for you to explore, develop with your main characters?
Think the theme of like having the dementia representation in there and having like these themes of caregiving, the responsibilities of caregiving, the like having to watch the kind of erosion of personhood, that was like really important to try to represent that as accurately as I could. Even having my own personal experiences with that, I wanted it to be something that other people would like recognize and see as well if they've dealt with it and felt like it was accurate. Like it was really important to me to have that theme very accurately represented. Themes of like trauma, loss, like grief, loneliness, or in particular, like deals with a lot of like she's been through a lot. Poor Harper, she's been through a lot. And she has to deal with not only like the losses that have occurred in her life, but the one that is literally happening right in front of her. So dealing with that kind of level of trauma. Yeah, but also there's like a lot of forgiveness and hope and trying to come to terms with like who a person really is versus like who you thought they were. Yeah. those were the important things for me, and I think it's evolved into the second book as well, and then the third book is going to be just batshit crazy.
Here for it. Can't
Yeah.
wait.
Yeah. I'm like nervous to read it because I've had a lot of grief and I also had dementia as a big part of my life. So I'm like, I'm excited to read it because I want to see people do that well, but it gives me hope, I guess, in a way to know that you as the author understand that from a different part of your life. And so you're bringing in like your own real world experience and knowledge of something like that. And because of this, I know you write a lot about dark things, you have all your trigger warnings, but sometimes like those type of things are almost more sensitive in nature than the other stuff, than all the other more graphic scenes that you put on page, like because you're dealing with something that's super real and close to home for so many people. So I'm excited to see how that plays out. I'm really very, very much interested in how that story develops and continues throughout the trilogy. And I'm honestly really excited that we learned that it's going to be the same, like basically two main characters throughout, and that we're going to get 3 books in that way. So that I'm excited to see how that works. But I have a real pressing question, which is, are there going to be any new animal characters, and can we like talk about that, because we are big Barbara fans over here and we need to know.
Oh, Barbs, she is so great. I have you can't see her, but I have a little like Barb on the wall. Yeah, there is an animal character. I love having animal characters in there, and this time it is a raven who's named Morpheus, and he can mimic Harper's speech, which ravens can do in real life. And I've just like always been fascinated by ravens and corvids in general, and just they're incredibly intelligent and so fun to like listen to and watch. So it was like really fun to be able to bring something like that in. And he's got such a big personality. And he was actually kind of based on my husband and I used to run a horse farm, a big boarding barn. And we had this huge coverall arena, which was like, it's basically like a canvas arena. So the canvas is stretched over all these metal trellises, and it was like 200 feet long. I mean, it was absolutely huge, right? And very, very high, like ceiling. And we used to open both the doors on either end so that in the summer, so the birds could come and go, because the birds would like nest in there and stuff. So we'd have all these swallows. And there was this raven who I called Morpheus just for fun. And he would let me get like pretty close before he would fly off. I think he was kind of like interested, but he used to go into that big arena for no other reason than to just stir shit up. And he would go in and he'd like fly around in these huge circles, and he would get all the other birds panicked. Like they would just be everywhere, and everyone would be like, ah. And he would like wind them up a few times, fly around the indoor arena, and then he'd sit on like one of the metal trellises or on the hay bales, and he would just watch them. Just watch this chaos that he made. And I was like, you're just having the time of your life being a complete jerk. And I love that. So I just like, he's kind of like the inspiration for Morpheus, who does not do that in the book, but he does do many other very questionable things.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Hopefully they'll make like a stuffed Morpheus we can put next to Barbara, hoping for that. That'll be fun.
Yeah. I think my publisher has already made something. Yes.
Oh, awesome.
They're like, yay, another animal. You can bring it on tour. It's like, get me a real one, damn it.
Yeah.
I don't want that
That would be
big.
fun.
The real one. Either a raccoon or a raven. Bring it.
Both. Why not?
That'd
Just
Yeah.
bring
Yeah.
both.
What can you
The raven
When
can
in
ride the
Rome.
raccoon. Be fine.
Yeah, I'd have
Yeah.
a directed raccoon and a raven who eats human snacks. I don't see any problems
No,
there.
I
not
feel
at
like
all.
it'd be fine. Yeah.
So another pressing question. Should we expect more
For
food
it.
to be ruined for us in Seasons of Carnage?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, maybe. I think it depends on sensitivity levels. So I was thinking like, oh, maybe I'm not gonna do it. And then this idea kind of came up for just a couple of lines, but they are pretty gross. So
As they do. These
Yeah.
things just come up.
it's like literally 1 or 2 sentences, but it was like, ooh, that's pretty gross actually. And then it's the same in the second book. There's a couple of things. It depends on your sensitivity level, but there are a couple of things where it's like, yeah, some people might be gross.
Okay.
But I mean, I was fine. So
If you
I don't
handled the
know.
milkshakes, you'll be fine, but
And
yeah.
the milkshake, then you'll be fine. It's not as bad as the ice cream or the milkshake. I think it'll be okay.
Okay.
I think.
The worst was the
All right.
orzo. That still gets me. I can't look at orzo pasta the same.
Yeah,
that one messed me up.
if you're gonna DNF the book, do it on the first page, right?
Right.
Like
That made me
Well,
keep reading. And
Yeah.
then, yeah, that one came, I kept reading. I was like, oh, well, now I'm committed. There's no
minute
going
now.
back.
See, I think that was my thinking as well. Either you're going to be so intrigued, like, how could it possibly get worse than this? Or I'm done. First page, I'm done. Yeah.
Well, you definitely
One
have
of the
to,
two.
for sure. I was like, oh, okay.
No, yeah.
I have to know how does this continue?
It's on that.
Yeah. Can you read us the first line? Are you allowed to do that? Is that like a thing? I would be very
I'll watch
curious
for
what
it,
the first line
Ethan.
would be. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
That's a good idea.
This wasn't even one of our questions, but then I was like, wait a minute. I love a good hook. What's our first line? What is it?
Yes, I will read it to you.
The first line of the new book
All
by
right.
the Bryn
We
Weaver.
ready?
I'm so excited to do it. Yeah.
I love the first line. I love it. I love a fun first line. Okay. I'm sure nobody goes on vacation expecting to be dismembered and put through a wood chipper, but some tourists are just assholes and deserve their fate. And
Yeah,
that's
they
it.
do.
That's
Well, we'll
But-
definitely be reading because I'm already ready to go.
Right.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But
So yay. I only just got these the other day, the finished copies. So I'm so
They look
excited.
beautiful.
Oh,
These are
yeah.
Like I haven't seen the ones that have the sprayed edges yet. So those should be incoming soon, which will be fun. And the map and stuff. But yeah, he did an amazing job with the cover. It looks really cool. So
We have
yeah,
a very
I've been
fun
loving all the
one.
marketing. Oh
Pardon?
yeah, where's the
We have a
map?
map for this one.
oh, there is a map, but it's only on, so it's not in this version. This is like the standard version. So it doesn't have like all the extras in it, but there's the Barnes and Noble exclusive edition that will have the map in it. And I'm waiting to get that one, which I think I might receive like this week. I might get my author copies. I can't wait.
We love a map.
Yeah.
Awesome. We do. We love a map. The next ask would be, we know you have a tour coming up, so tell us a little bit about that. And then also there's this book tour type thing that's kind of going on with the exclusive indie book stores have these different things. So we're based in Orlando, Orlando, Florida, and we have one of our local bookstores, the New Romantics, is actually doing the event on the 23rd for
Yeah.
so we're gonna go check that out. So can you tell us a little bit about what everybody can kind of expect from that, and about your tour and all those things that you've got going on?
Yeah. So the tour is, you know what? I should know how many stops I think it's 6 or 7. I get a little confused because there's also there's a garden party that starts things off before publication date. And I kind of factor it in sometimes in my head, and then I don't other times. So there's that. There's multiple stops. They're really big this time around. So most of them are 400 or 500 people, person capacity. And another one just sold out. I think New York, Barnes and Noble Union Square just sold out as well. So
Wow.
I think there's 2 locations that are almost sold out but have not yet. So yeah, it's kind of all across the country, several different stops. And then at the end, I've got the Book Harvest Book Con, literally the day after my last event. So it's almost like that's an extension of the whole tour as well. So yeah, multiple tour stops. And then the author list launch parties is something that my husband and my PA and I put together because we just wanted to do more for the indie stores. My publisher was doing some things, but it felt like we just needed the next level and wanted to really support them and in our relationships with indie stores that we already had. We've had conversations with them before about what could we do to help. And yeah, we heard this suggestion of anything that you can do to help enable authorless launch parties, because people will want to come and celebrate. But even if you're not there, if there's anything that you can do to help. So we're yeah, we're game on. So we put together the entire thing, like the entire package. So it's stores will get like a package of things that have like games in them, like cocktail and mocktail menus, that kind of thing. Like some elements are shared among the participants, and then others, every single participant gets them. So it's like the character cards, the like postcards, the Cape Carnage postcards, book plates, signed book plates, things like that. So yeah, it was like really fun to put together. It was a heck of a lot of, it is a heck of a lot of work. And I don't know how my husband and my PA Val have like managed to pull it together so quickly because they did so much of it. But we have like, I think it's 154 maybe participating stores that are doing it. So it's literally all across the country, which is just incredible. And the stores have been
Awesome.
amazing to work with. Yeah.
That's so
Yeah.
awesome.
Thank you
So
for
I-
doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm
I'm
like,
excited to see how it goes. I hope everyone has a blast. Like we had so much fun putting it together, and yeah, it's just really, really cool to see how the stores have just completely embraced it, and the messages that we've had from them, like they're so excited to be doing it for the readers, and it's been really fun. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
yeah, it provides an opportunity for those who can't travel to some of your events because, we would love to. And I was asking Michelle, like, if we could go see you when you were with Callie Hart a couple weeks back. You guys did but it sold out, and it sold out so fast that we didn't even get an opportunity to like pull it up to like get a ticket. And I was like, well, damn, I guess if shit, never mind. I literally texted her and was like, oh, we should go to this. And then I went to go open all your stuff and it was like gone. And I was like, okay, well, fuck it. I guess we're not going because it's gone. I was like, well, that's not happening. So what it does too is it's twofold. You get to feel like you're doing something with the author that's truly like bespoke and like customized from you, but it's also a way that people who don't have the ability to travel can participate in. You're supporting local, which all around you're supporting an indie bookstore. So it's really, really cool. I'm so glad you're doing that. I'm so glad so many other stores are participating in it, and that's really cool. I'm excited about that.
I'm glad that you get to go to one, and I hope it's fun. Like, I hope you enjoy everything and have a good time because
We will document.
Oh yeah.
I think it'll be fun. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll document plenty of stuff for you so you can see.
So we are very excited that Butcher and Blackbird is going to the big screen. Can you talk to us about the movie deal process or any details of the movie or production that you can share?
Yeah, it's a really long, long process. And I'm learning a lot of patience. I found that, especially like coming from Self Pub, where it's like, oh, the book is done. I can publish it now. I can just throw it on Amazon and like, oh, it exists, And then moving into like traditional publishing, everything takes a lot longer. And the movie is like even longer than that, right? So we started having conversations with different interested parties back in October of 2023. So,
Wow.
like when I say it's a long process, we talked to so many people. Like I said, Chris was the first person that we spoke to who was very interested. And then we spoke to like there was an actress who has her own production company. There were a couple of production companies, studios, like screenwriters. Yeah, just like loads of different people who had a lot of interest in adapting it. And it turns out there are like 1,000 different ways that you can make a Hollywood project. Like you could go with a screenwriter and then they would have to put a pitch together and get funding. I had a director who was interested. He had to go and get funding, which he managed to do very quickly to put an offer in. We had a couple of studios and things like that. Yeah, it was like a long process to get to like from October to I think it was like January where we had nailed it down to like 3 parties. So 2 bid for like television adaptations, and then Chris was for a movie. And all 3 of them they were really great visions for it. I just felt like Chris just had so much passion for the material. He was so collaborative. He really understood like Sloan and Rowan and in a way that I did, and wanted to make sure that vision was like carried forward. So we went with Chris. I wanted to see it on the big screen as well. So yeah, it was kind of a crazy time pulling all of that together. And then we announced it and then had to get a screenwriter. So that takes a little bit of time. And now she's kind of reworking some little bits and pieces on the script as we speak. So we're hoping to have a final version really soon so that we can go out to casting like basically right away. So yeah, I think it's probably a matter of weeks. I'm hoping that we'll be going ahead to the casting process, which would be really fun. I'm really hoping. So, but yeah, everyone's been like really very enthusiastic. Like all the producers, just everybody wants it made as soon as possible. They love the book and they all have the same kind of like level of passion for the project, which is like everyone we're accumulating. We're just like, do you love it? Do you want to work on it? Okay. Like everyone's just this sort of like big group of people that are super excited to start work, which is like an ideal place to be. And that's kind of how we want to just carry it forward into the future, which is fun.
Okay. And you talked
Awesome.
about being excited for casting. So if you had like a dream cast for Butcher and
Oh
Blackbird,
boy.
like
Knew this
who
was
would
coming.
you cast?
I
Because we
struggle
did a
with that.
cast. We
Did
totally
you?
did a fan cast. Yeah, we
I
did.
want to hear who yours are. Who should go first? You should go first. I want to hear who yours are.
So I
Michelle, tell her
think
your own.
my Rowan is Richard Madden. He's from the Game of Thrones series. He's
Yep.
Okay,
I
yep.
know it.
Yeah. So
I
that's
don't know him now.
who I was picturing the entire time with Fionn. Or not with Fionn, I'm sorry, with Rowan.
Yeah.
Cool. For me, Lachlan was or is, I don't know why, but he's Tom Hardy for me. I just see
yeah.
him as a Tom Hardy. I could like totally picture him and like paired with Richard Madden. I feel like they would like, they're both that would be like a brotherly good mix. I feel like it could work. So Tom Blythe, who plays Cornelius Snow, the young version in the most recent Hunger Games Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, he is really young in that movie, but he's, that's been several years now. And I just feel like he would be like the ultimate Fionn. I really feel like he would balance the brothers and like visually too, because I always kind of pictured him as like a slimmer, more athletic one. Rowan's kind of like more in the middle wise. And then of course you have like the Tom Hardy ass, the Lachlan, who's just like absurdly
Large.
ginormous.
Yes.
And that's just like how I kind of like, so those were that was for the guys, that was our like fan cast
And
for sure.
Cillian Murphy as Leander. Because Leander, I feel like he has to look attractive, but be like really fucking scary. And I feel like Cillian Murphy definitely pulls
I
that
feel like
off.
Cillian Murphy could do, absolutely. Hands down.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the vibe that is needed for a good Leander, is someone who is like kind of can be charming, but also terrifying.
Yes.
Yeah. And he can
I
do
just
it.
feel like Leander would be attractive though. I feel like that's like, I feel like he'd be a good looking guy. I don't know why I particularly get the feeling, but I just do. I don't know. I feel like.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. Yeah, I think you would. I think you would be attractive. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I like your suggestion. I totally agree with Tom Hardy as a Lachlan kind of guy. I'm not sure if he's getting too old for Lachlan. I don't even know how old he is, actually. Like, yeah, his vibe is absolutely 100% spot on. Like, you couldn't really pick a better Lachlan, I don't think. I had a list of a few that I liked. Originally kind of like was tossing around Nicholas Hoult. Because he can play like vulnerable, but he could play badass as well. I think everyone likes Paul Mescal for Rowan as a potential. I really like Bill Skarsgård, who would need to like be able to do the accent, but he has that like unhinged kind of vibe.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But he can also do funny and stuff. So I think he would be great. I think this is the thing, like it needs to be chemistry, right? Like whoever we pick, the chemistry needs to be there as the fundamental thing. So for like Sloane, I was thinking like one person that I really like is Amber Midthunder, who was in the movie Prey. And again, she can do like really badass. She can do all this physical stuff, but she's got this sort of like vulnerable edge to her as well. And I think like she looks like Sloane. there's a woman named Emma Norton who is like, she's got quite a huge following on Instagram. She does acting and all kinds of different stuff. You should check out her Instagram and TikTok because she's fucking hilarious. Like, she's so funny and so different. And she absolutely like looks like she could be Sloane. It's kind of actually a little bit wild. Like, she looks so much like she could definitely just slot into that role. Like, she goes really wild with her makeup and is so talented and stuff. But I think like even just the fundamental look of her is very Sloane-ish. So she would be a good potential arc. I think like in my dream world, Elle Fanning would be amazing because she can be
Yeah.
so like she would be so great.
I
So
thought of Sydney Sweeney because I feel like Sydney Sweeney has this uncanny ability to be like extremely charming, but also unhinged. Like, I can just see her playing like the most ridiculously unhinged person, but just is so charismatic and likable and like could just play off of Sloane so well. And I feel like Sydney Sweeney kind of has that edge to her that is just like immediately you're drawn to her. And then she's also just, you know, making her arts and crafts. I just felt like she could like pull that off pretty well.
there was also the woman who played the lead in Heart Eyes, and she could make a good Lark as well, I think. And I unfortunately cannot remember her name, but I loved her in that movie. And that movie is so quirky and like funny and definitely dark rom-com vibes, right? So she did great in that. She could be a very good Lark. Yeah.
I
It's
don't think I
hard
have
though.
anyone for Rose. Yeah, we haven't thought much about Rose. I don't know who I would cast for her. Rose is so unique. I feel like Rose has like a very unique vibe, and there's not. I think there's not that many people I could come up with offhand. And we were saying too, like it'd be great to have some no name cast, people we haven't that we don't know, you know, right off the bat. And for us, like I think that might be Rose in our case. Like there might just be someone we haven't seen before that would be able to like really knock her character out of the park. And some of the shows, like you think of Game of Thrones, like mass majority of those people were not known. Nobody knew who they were. And so, but they killed it. You know, they just made a name for themselves through that. So that'd be really cool to see too. I had a follow-up question about the movie production process and like going from like a book to film, and how was that experience nerve-wracking? Like how did you kind of navigate that? Was that like more exclusively navigated? Like did you have like an agent? Like how do those pieces like go, and like negotiations and like all that type of stuff? How does that work?
Yeah, so I have a literary agent who handles all of like my publishing stuff, and she's amazing. And she co-agents them when it comes to entertainment. She'll work with a co-agent who specializes in adaptations from books. So, and her name is Mary. So we like before we started having these conversations with different interested parties, Mary was the one who set all of that stuff up and did like the submission of the book into Hollywood. So yeah, basically submits it like, this is the book, this is what it's about. If you're interested, like, yeah. Well, the first time that I spoke to Mary, she was like, okay, so we're going to set up these conversations, and you might find, and it's very typical to find that whoever you're talking to will be like, okay, well, we want to buy the rights, and then we'll want you to just go away, and we don't want to hear from you ever again. And I was like, okay, cool. That sounds great. And so she was just like warning us that, you know, sometimes these conversations can be quite difficult because it is a very like different business, right? Like, and I have no experience in that space. So when I spoke to Chris as the first conversation, I said, like, you know, I don't want to step on anyone's toes. I don't want to insert my, like, you know, I don't want to be precious about the source material. I'm just so interested, and I want to be able to learn and watch and see it grow. Like, how much would I be able to do that? You know, like, would I be able to see some of this happening? And he's like, no, well, we want you to come on set. Like, we want you to like
That's
go to the
awesome.
editing room. Like, I want you to see the wardrobes. I want you to like hear the music and like be involved in every step of the process. And I was like,
Oh,
wow,
wow.
that's not what Mary was. You know, I'm thinking like, well, Mary was not thinking that that was going to happen. And really, like every single conversation that I had was like that. Like they wanted to be working in partnership and wanted to get my input. So that was like, at first, I think going into it, it's daunting because you don't know what to expect. But then as you kind of like get to know the ropes a little bit, it gets a bit easier. And I was just very lucky that everyone that I spoke to was highly collaborative and wanted to be able to take my vision into a screen and not just like strip it down. But I'm also not like, I'm not overly precious, like I was saying about it having to be exactly like the source material. I want to be able to hear Rowan and Sloane in my head when I read the script. And I want to see certain things on the screen for sure. But I also realize it is a different medium. Part of the big fun for me is to see how other creative people, what they take out of it, what is important to them, and how they execute it. You know, the director, the screenwriter, all of the team, they are creative people. They're not just there to like take it and try and chop it and like then make it fit onto the screen so they can make a bunch of money. Like, of course, everybody wants to make a bunch of money, but they are like, they really care and they are very creative people. And I think like I need to give them the space to do the things that they need to do in a totally different medium. And that's okay with me, you know? So yeah, I'm not
That's
like, it needs
yeah.
to be like this.
It's hard to release like your baby into the world, so to speak, of like being okay with that, with allowing it. But I think that must have like a feel good feeling of knowing that he wants you to be involved. Like that's great. I'm excited as a reader to know that, because like book readers, we tend to like it. The movie's not like the book, you know. You hear that a lot, and so it's like, but heard like it also cannot be to the page either. Like you're gonna have to take some liberties to make something make sense. You know, a minute of page time on a script versus a minute in a book is just they're not measured the same way.
Mhm.
Yeah, you can't. They're gonna have to be some ways that things have to change, but that don't change the overarching story and don't take away from that as a whole.
Mhm.
Awesome.
Exactly. Like as long as we're getting the character arcs and the progressions and the things that the characters are dealing with and their chemistry right. And yes, there are definitely like a bunch of the scenes are in there. Do some things have to change? Absolutely. Because just like you said, like a minute on a script is different than like sitting down for like 12 hours or whatever, reading a book is totally different. But yeah, I think that's something that I'm hoping that as I can hopefully take readers along on their journey as well, like hopefully we can all learn and understand that like they are truly creative people who want to make something not brand new, but like also make it their own. And that's okay with me. Like I am 100% like okay with it having to, it is an adaptation. Like it has to adapt to this new medium. And I am 100% okay with that. So I'm hoping that I can kind of like take people on the journey of that too, and that they'll feel okay with that in the end also. Yeah.
Awesome.
In an ideal world.
Yeah.
So we saw your video recommending new authors to write under a pen name. What other recommendations would you
Mhm.
have for someone just getting started?
I think that's a really critical one. That's like a hugely important one that it doesn't maybe seem like it at the beginning, but definitely I highly recommend for people to do that. I think otherwise, like, saying, I guess, that you don't have to do it the way that other people have told you you have to do it. Like I was saying in the beginning, I'm an example of that. Like break the mold. Like feel free to find your own way to do things. My process of writing every day, it won't work for everybody else's brain. It works for mine because I know myself. But that's, I think, part of the trick is like learning to trust yourself and learning to like accept that you might do things differently than the way people will typically tell you to do them. And that's okay. So trial and error things, like expect to fail, and failure is a good thing because you're going to learn from it, you know? I think those are the main things. Just work hard. You know, if you really want it, it's definitely it's a full ass time job. There's a lot that goes with it. You know, treat it like a business because it definitely is a business, a very multifaceted business. So you kind of have to like learn to do all the other things that come along with writing that maybe aren't as much fun. But yeah. part of the process too.
And on that note, like recommending new writers from the self-published standpoint versus trad publishing, traditional publishing, any recommendations there, and kind of tell us a little bit about your journey with that.
Yeah, I really self-published in the beginning because I didn't know the process for I knew there was like querying, but I didn't really know how to do that. And I wanted to get past my own hurdle of putting my work out there for people to read, even if it was like almost no people, that was okay. Like I wanted to get into that habit of like, here is my work. It's out there. It exists. People can read it. And I have to be okay with that. So that was like the first hurdle. And so self-publishing kind of made a lot of sense for me to do that. And then I just got really into like learning about it and trying to understand how to market myself and, obviously getting better at like writing books. And yeah, I just became very interested in the process of doing it and really enjoyed it. And there's a lot of obviously like freedom in self-publishing, and you can do it 1,000 different ways. But I kept trying to learn and get like bigger and grow and do more. So my pathway into traditional publishing was very unusual, although there are a lot of self-published authors who are getting picked up now. And I think publishers are seeing that like not only are these people like, you have to be business minded in a way to do it. Like you have to be driven and treating it like it's your job and learning all of these crazy things on your own. So I think publishers are seeing how scalable these individuals are, right? And these books can like, you put them into like Target and Walmart and B&N and like, man, you've just like grown them so enormously, so quickly. So yeah, it was like a really weird route because B&B just took off on TikTok after about 2 weeks after I had published it. It suddenly like bang, it went. And then that's when I started getting all this interest from foreign publishers. And they were all asking, like, do you have an agent? Who's your agent? I'm like, I don't have an agent.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, one of them took pity on me and recommended Kim Whalen was one of the names that they recommended. And I reached out to Kim on a Sunday, heard back from her within half an hour. And then I like signed with her the following day. So,
Wow.
yeah, crazy.
Sounds like a whirlwind.
Because they're like,
Sounds
you need an, yeah, they're like,
quickly.
they're like, you need an agent because like you need to be represented, that's really nice of them to do that.
Yeah. I mean, there were a couple that were like, oh, well, we can just like make a deal with you. And I'm like, I'm not signing shit because this is a whole different world and I don't know anything about it. So I knew that like, if I was to go down that road and try and negotiate anything myself, I would fail. Right. So it's like, no, I really need an agent. And yeah, the Hungarian publisher just recommended these two names. And yeah, it's absolutely a whirlwind. Like, yeah, that whole week was just crazy. Like I just gathered up all this stuff for Kim to be able to go out on submission. Thursday, she submitted to various publishers around the world. Like, this is the manuscript. This is what the book is about, blah, blah, blah. I had all of my sales from Amazon, like my self-published sales. And that was a Thursday. By Friday, we had a preemptive 6-figure offer. So from a UK publisher. So that was my first like offer, was a foreign offer.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was kind of very, very crazy. It was like being dumped into the ocean, basically. Like, oh, I've been in a fishbowl and now I'm in the ocean. This is terrifying.
Most surreal.
But also like you,
as it was happening.
yeah, and what a validation. Yeah, like what a validation moment of like, holy shit, I'm a legit author like now. Not that you weren't a legit author before, but I feel like having that a 6-figure deal in like 2 days, that's nuts. That's crazy. That's amazing.
It was pretty nuts. And I always I felt like, I was so happy with the way that my self-publishing journey was going and like really I still love doing that. Like I still have books that are self-published. I really think it was like such a great aspect of my career and it still is. But yeah, absolutely. It was pretty crazy to see something like I always felt like something would take off. And then it really did and really exceeded my expectations for what I ever thought was possible, which was amazing. Yeah. Yeah. It was cool.
That I just the feeling of like the jump from like where B&B is and like now it has this movie deal, right? And now looking at your marketing in parallel of like where you were to now, and now you have like Cape Carnage has its own IG, LA Candle, and like this whole story and all this marketing, and you have all this like really cool things you're able to do, and it's just opened up like the looking at it from like the start to now from a timeline wise, because I looked, it's not like maybe 6 years, right?
Yeah,
Something like
it's
that.
4 years, like between my first self-published book was 2021. Yeah,
That's fast. I
yeah,
feel like that's
That's fast.
incredible.
it was very fast. Yeah, yeah, because I mean, B&B took off in 2023 is when I self-published it, August of 2023. So it was crazy, crazy fast. Yeah, but yeah, I think I was putting out books, trying to learn, always trying to learn like how to do it better, how to market better, how to like, figure out every aspect of that business, just trying to grow all the time. And yeah, I read somewhere that somebody said it's like you put lightning rods everywhere. And the more you put out, obviously, like the more likelihood you have of having the lightning strike. But it's true. It's just like I was kind of constantly trying to figure out what more could I put out for like lightning rods? Like how can I generate more opportunities for myself? And then it just like lightning struck and everything exploded. So which is very cool. And I'm very lucky. Definitely.
Yeah, that's awesome. So on that note, I know from the back pages of your books and kind of your author's note that you're a working mom like us, because we're working moms too. What impact or how has that impacted your career as a writer and kind of influenced you?
I think it definitely gives me something to like, something to work for. I always want to make my son proud of his mom and give him the best opportunities I possibly can. Yeah, I think it's enabled us to do a lot as a family when we first started out, when we had our son, we had our horse farm, and it was really, really difficult. Like it was really hard work. And I also had a corporate job. So we were running a business and running this enormous horse farm. And it really is so hard. Like you could talk to anyone that runs a boarding barn and they will tell you it's like just one of the hardest jobs. There's nothing
Imagine.
really idyllic about it. Well, it's
Oh,
so
yeah.
tough. And yeah, we had like, a lot of times with our son, he's 10 now, but even when he was really little where, it wasn't easy on him either, having to like go down to the barn in the morning and sometimes like, things will inevitably go wrong with one of the horses and it's just not an easy life. And so now it's like we get to spend more time together, which is really lovely. I don't have my corporate job anymore either. So we get that time as a family and a bit more opportunity to travel together. Like he's going to come on part of my tour with me
awesome.
and be able to see me like in Dallas so that I won't be away from him for like 2 weeks solid. He's gotten to go to France with me when they've flown me out for tour in France. And yeah, really just cool things that we wouldn't have had a chance to do otherwise.
So I'm pulling up the last page from your author note because this made me really laugh because I read all the way to the end now. And so it just says, "Thank you for your incredible hugs." This is to Bryn's son. "Your endless kindness, your infectious laugh. I love you until the end of time and beyond." And then the last sentence kills me. "And if you've read anything before this page, you're grounded." And I died. And I was like,
They always put
yes.
something related to like he can't read the books because he asks, how old am I gonna be when I can read the book?
Never.
Like 240.
Yeah. The limit does
How
not
old are your
exist.
kids?
My son's 4.
My
Good age.
daughter's 5, or she's about to be 5 in a couple of
Butcher and
weeks.
Blackbird,
Yeah, and then I'm also due in December for a son.
Oh,
So,
congratulations. That's so exciting. Do you know if
Yeah.
you're having a boy or a girl?
Boy. My daughter was very upset,
Oh,
but she's warming
That
up.
video
that's-
is hysterical. Yeah. She sent me
That
this
is-
video of her daughter that she like did the cake. Michelle, tell her what happened.
She went through all the stages of grief, like in a split second. Because she wanted sister so she can play dress up and makeup and all that stuff. And when she saw blue, she was like in shock, and then it like hit her and she was sad, and then she was literally like grieving.
Oh,
It
no.
was awful. She got over it pretty quickly. We like sat down, talked, and then she like drew the baby a picture, so she was fine. But now she's like warming up a little bit more to it. Sometimes she'll tell me, she's like, "Mommy, I'm mad at you that you're having a boy, but I'll love him anyways." It's like, okay.
Me.
Yeah. I didn't have control over it, but thanks.
No.
Yeah.
But she's
Yeah, I think
always curious about like what we're reading. I'm like, this is like, she likes your books because like purple's her favorite color. So I'm reading, and she's like, what are you reading? I'm like, this is about princesses. You'll find out
Yes.
when you're older.
it is about princesses.
Yeah.
They're their own princesses for sure. Yeah.
Well, fun fact with B&B, actually, when I did the whole cover design, like I commissioned it because it was self-published, and worked with an amazing cover designer, and had all 3 books like done at the same time, because I kind of knew,
Wow.
like, even though I had no like real plan, I knew the second one was going to be Marriage of Convenience. I knew it was going to be a singer, and like and contract killer, and like same with the third one, right? Like I knew there was going to be a circus and a doctor, and that's pretty much it. But I remember getting the executions, the first 3 options back for Butcher and Blackbird, and the cover designer really nailed it in the first iteration, but there were 3 different colors of it, and I couldn't, and it's like slightly different things on the covers, right? And I was looking at them and I couldn't decide. And I showed them to my son, and he was what? He would have been like 7 or whatever, right? And I showed it to him and I was like, "Well, what do you think?" And he goes, "Well, what best represents the content of the book, Mummy?" And I'm like,
Oh, wow.
Wow.
"Wow, you're like a
Sophisticated.
marketing, thank you for that cutting insight. Yes, you're right. I'll go with the pink and the black then." It's like 7 years old. What represents the content, Mummy?
Yeah. It's
That's
funny
so
because
funny.
my son's 4 and he'll be like, I want to talk. I want to say hello on the show. And like, cause he'll want to like be on the mic at some point. And I'm just like, no, it's time for bed, cause it's chaos. We're kind of at the, the I guess self-publishing piece. That's kind of where we are. We're in the mode of like continually learning and just pushing and put it out, and get as many people that we can and learn as we go. And my son is always just like wants to be involved, and it's whether you realize it or not, like I do think that it impacts you because you want to make them proud. And I think that's something that I want to do as a mom is while I don't want my son listening to our show, I do want him to be proud that I went for it, and that I did it, and I did the creative thing that's really hard, and I tried the thing. And I think it's definitely a driver. And that was kind of why I wanted to ask that question, because Michelle and I were talking about it. I was like, Bryn's a mom. Like, I think it would be curious to have like her insight into what that feels like to go after this creative dream and be tremendously successful at it, but that you're in that unknown, for a while. It's a risk. It's a big risk. So that's why I was curious about asking you how you felt with that and what impact that's had. So thank you.
Yeah, and thank you for asking. And I'm very fortunate because my husband is like incredibly supportive, and he really wants our son to like see my success and like participate in my success and like understand that it's like a big thing. So he makes a real point of like, making sure that we can bring Hayden whenever we can, like to go places or whatever, like the thing to Dallas. And Hayden came with me on part of the tour for Silent Sparrow as well. Like he would be at certain locations. Obviously, he's not in the discussion part.
No, of course,
doesn't
yeah.
see that part because that would not be appropriate. But he's going to go to Dallas and he'll be in the green room during the discussion. But then he'll get to actually see the band play because Missio is going to play at that one.
Oh, wow.
Which will be very cool. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And yeah, so like my husband's been like such an enormous supporter and really conscious of getting Hayden like involved in that. And it's amazing how much that they pick up. And I'm sure you're going to find that, especially as your kids get a little bit older and as it continues, like they pick up so much from it, and Hayden will talk to his friends, and his teachers all read the books. Like, even in school, sometimes, like, he's like, Mom, the substitute teacher was reading Leather
Oh
and
my
Luck.
gosh.
Whoa.
But he's like, yeah, he's like, well, this one's about that, and this one's about that. He doesn't know the spicy stuff or any of that, but he's like, kind of, yeah, they know, and they pick up on so much more than we think that they do, which is in a cool way, like
Yeah.
in a way that they are proud, and they'll be proud of what you're doing.
It's awesome.
Thank you.
I don't know how I would feel if like my teacher was, or if my daughter's teacher was like reading like B&B or Sight and Sparrow, like it's just on the desk. Like, okay.
Yeah, none of the kids know what it is.
Right, of
Like, I
course.
mean, they don't know what it's
No.
about.
Yeah.
But, like,
That's funny.
they've just been so incredibly supportive, and like they've just, they'll like get the book and read it in class, not to the class.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No, free time.
They'll talk to me about it, and like
Aw.
totally 100% supportive, which has really
That's
been
awesome.
cool.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So
Yeah.
next question is more of a lighter question, but also important. What is your go-to cocktail order? If you're not a coffee
I am
person.
such a simple. I am a simple person. I like make my stovetop espresso machine coffee. Like, you can almost chew it, and I just have cream in it. I have one per day, and that is it. Yeah, that is my go-to coffee. I don't like fancy ones or anything, or like sugar and stuff. No, it's just
Okay.
like a chewable coffee with cream.
What about a cocktail?
Cocktails, I'm definitely more adventurous. I like a spicy margarita is probably my favorite, though. Yeah.
It's a
Or
good,
a
it's a
like
good go-to.
coconut mojito, where you can,
Ooh, yeah.
again, like, why do I like the things where you can actually chew it? Like, I like it when it's got the bits in it. Like a real shaved
The
coconut
mint leaves are
mojito.
important.
Yes, I need the bits, so I feel like I'm having a snack.
On that note, what's like your favorite comfort food, like slash like season to be in?
Oh, comfort food is, this is going to be so freaking boring. Okay. It's plain yogurt. This is the most boring thing, but it has a story behind it. It's kind of like, when I was a kid, I got really, really sick, and I nearly died, and I was in ICU for like 5 days. And when I got out, the only milk product that I could eat was plain yogurt, or, well, I guess flavored yogurt, but I didn't like any of it. I just liked plain. So I don't know if it's some kind of like comfort thing where I eat it like every day, that it truly is a comfort food for me. And comfort season would be summer. I'm a summer girly. I don't like winter. So fall is kind of like a bummer, even though it's Halloween. I love Halloween, but I'm like,
Sure, with living up
From
north,
Canada lives in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, what?
having the winters, I'm sure, are brutal. My husband's from Michigan, and he said, like, I've talked about wanting like a winter, and he's like, no, you don't. I promise you, you don't want an actual winter.
you don't. You really don't. Like, every winter, especially when we had any of our farms, was just like, oh, I'd stand outside. There would inevitably be a day in winter where I'd scream at the sky and be like, why am I in this country? Like,
It's so
why
gray.
am I here?
Yeah.
It's
I feel like temperature
cold.
never be negative. Like just the negative
no.
aspect of it. No.
No. It's always pretty and stuff, like at Christmas, and then it needs to go away. I know. I need to do it again.
That's
Yeah.
fair. Fair. And our last question is, what are you currently reading?
I am currently finishing up Wild Cards by Elsie Silver,
Oh,
which I
okay.
know is silly. So yeah, I'm very lucky that I've got the audiobook. So yes, that's what I'm finishing up. And then what am I reading after that? Blood of Hercules is what I'm going to read
Ooh.
after. Yeah.
Okay.
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 Yeah.
All right.
Because I'm going to
Alright.
do an event in New York with Jasmine Moss at the end of
Oh.
October. I've
Oh.
been meaning to read it as well. It's just I haven't had much time for reading lately.
You've
So
been busy.
yeah,
Yes.
it's been crazy busy. Yeah.
It's on our TBR. I haven't read that one yet. Our TBR is
A mile
so
long.
long. So yeah, it's long.
Yep.
But that
I
one's
feel
on
that.
there. That's closer to the top for sure.
I feel it. What are you reading at the moment?
I'm reading 2 books. I'm reading Nocticadia by Carrie Lake right now, which I really am liking, and I'm also reading Slaying the Vampire Conqueror by Carissa Broadbent. So, yes. We really like the Crowns of Nyaxia series a lot. We like Carissa Broadbent's work a lot. So we are going to be covering that here soon. So really excited to she had a release in August as well for her most recent Fallen in the Kiss of Dusk, which is part of that Crowns of Nyaxia world. So I'm really excited to start our coverage with that. But her world building is just like the number of things that she has going on. I'm like, how does the mind create like just so many things? I'm like, it's just nuts. It's just crazy. And it's just like stuff I've never really read before that's different. And I think that's also why I love your writing is like you created a genre that like I have not really read. Like, yes, you're in dark romance, but I don't really like I feel like you're in a subgenre of your own. And like that's such a really cool thing. It's like you're like a dark romantic comedy that also like really has a lot of depth to their characters. It isn't like a comedy where it's just funny to be funny. Like your story building is just like so good, and I'm just we can't wait to read the whole new trilogy you have coming out in Taurus season. We're super excited about. So yeah,
Thank
so
you.
that's it. Yeah, exactly. It's a good segue to thank you for being here because I can't get over that we spoke to the fucking Bryn Weaver. I'm just like, literally, I cannot. I'm just so. Michelle and I was like, Michelle, I'm nervous. And she's like, what? Yeah, I'm like, I'm a little nervous. Like, I was just like nervous going in. I was like, I can't feel like we're like really talking to Bryn. I'm so excited. So thank you so much for willing to take the time to be in our little corner of the internet and take some time out to talk with us. So we can't tell you enough how grateful we are for that.
Yeah, we really
Thank
appreciate
you
it.
for having me. Yeah, I appreciate you having me on and asking me to come on. And yeah, it's super fun. I loved your questions. So yeah, you're doing a great job. And it was really a pleasure. So
And now it is time for our mystery Q&A. As always, these questions have not been asked to us in advance, so we will get started. Michelle, we interviewed Bryn Weaver, so naturally my question is going to be based on her. What was this experience like for you?
Honestly, it's pretty surreal talking to an author. Like, you read their books, you're kind of in the, like, you feel like you're a part of their journey, and then just having to be able to gain the opportunity to have, like, conversations about, what she was thinking. And I'm just, my background's in English. I'm such a literary nerd, so being able, but most of the authors, like, that I read, like, when I was in high school and stuff, they're dead. So
Right.
it's fun. It was so fun. She's amazing. She's funny. And yeah, it was just a really surreal experience to be able to do that because, I mean, that was one of our goals when we started Book Club After Dark, to be able to actually interview an author, like a big author that we really, truly love. And yeah, we did it. We did it.
It's wild. Yeah, I agree. I asked you that question because I wanted to kind of verbally document this for ourselves and also for like listeners too. But it's just that is like for me, when we started the podcast, you have dreams and aspirations of where you hope something can go. And we pour so many hours into this show and we love it so much. So having an author as big as Bryn kind of see that and just be so down to earth and wonderful to come on the show was just it makes me really happy about what we're doing and can see like that we've been having growth. And so we appreciate everyone who takes the time to listen, everyone who takes the time to share our episodes, everyone who takes the time to recommend Book Club After Dark as a podcast, shares our posts, likes our stuff, reviews it. We read everything. And it was just a really big moment for us to have Bryn on the show. And she was just awesome. So I echo your sentiment.
So my follow-up question will be, what author would you want to interview next? If you could interview any author.
Oh, God. That's tough. Like, truly. I really like, from a thriller perspective, I really like Gillian Flynn. Gone Girl. author, Sharp Objects, all those. She's brilliant. I love her work and her ability to keep me completely in rapt attention. Riley Sager's one that comes to mind really quickly. From a thriller perspective, I'm a recent really big fan now of Riley's. I really like his writing style, and I love that we covered one of his books. I can definitely see us covering more of those. Haley Smith, author of Phantasma. I like the world she's created. Carrie Lake, Nocticadia. There's dark romance I really love. Rebecca Yarros, obviously.
Just list all the authors.
Literally. Like, I mean, there's just so many. I mean, Sarah J. Maas, a dream of mine, I would just be like, yeah, we'd love to come on your show, and then indie authors, so many. And we just don't have the time. We get a lot of authors that reach out to us. And there's only so many weeks in the year. There's always so much we can cover. And there's always so much from a planning perspective that it breaks my heart because there's so many indie authors that reach out to us to be on the show and have an opportunity on the show. So we're evolving, we're changing, we're growing, we're learning as we're doing this. I think it's tough. Like, while I would love to have some big ones, I think I'd love to make space for indie author acknowledgement and just hard to figure out how that would look and what that would look. It was a very convoluted answer, but I hope it helped.
Yeah, you covered all of them, all of the things.
All the bases have been covered.
I asked for one author next, and you're like, I'm just gonna list all the authors that I want to talk to. Period.
I mean, and that wasn't even all of them. Like, that wasn't even close. That was just like off the top of my head. That wasn't even like, yeah. Okay, what about you?
If I could interview like one author, especially, would be probably Susan Collins, just because from my childhood, and then still like, with these prequel series, she's just a phenomenal writer. Obviously, Rebecca Yarros is on that list too, Sarah J. Maas, all of the big hitters in terms of like fantasy and romanticism. But like, I think
Brandon Sanderson
bucket list. Yeah. A bucket list would be Susan Collins and Cassandra Clare, because those are like my childhood books and I really, really loved. So in terms of thriller books, probably Frida McFadden would definitely be one of them. That her ability to just storytell and do a lot of storytelling and the twist at the end. Yeah. So, and also Riley Sager, he was actually one of the first ones that came to my head, but you said him. So also,
Geneva Rose is really great too. I really like her. We also really like Lisa Jewell from None of This Is True. We love Lucy Foley. The Guest List. I love her books. Lucy Foley's books are great. Thriller authors too. It's like, it's fun to talk about the stuff they write about. I would love to have a thriller author on. So I think that's a goal for us too, is to book a thriller author. So if any thriller authors are listening of any of those, the ones that we listed, we would love to have you reach out to us and get in touch, because it was really fun. We did our in-person interview with Ash Clifton for Twice the Trouble, a local Orlando thriller author. I mean, he has it's a PI investigative thriller. But it was really fun interviewing him in person and just talking about, he's just such a wealth of knowledge that I love being a part of his interview process for that. And so I don't know. I think it's just a good time. Author interviews give us such a different insight and appreciation for which we already have, all the work that goes into writing these stories. And I hope that's reflected to what everyone can hear when we talk about these books and the characters that we love. And it's a tough answer.
Right. Yeah. Before we wrap up, let's talk about what's coming up next on Book Club After Dark.
We dive into Fallen in the Kiss of Dust by Carissa Broadbent. We're going to be covering that over the next 3 weeks. And we will also be featuring a couple special guests that we've never had on the show before. It'll be some really cool guests that are coming to hang out with us. Our first up is going to be Carly Rose. You will know her on Instagram as Carly Rose Reads if you follow her. She does lots of book recs and reviews, 18 plus, of course, romantasy, fantasy, and romance. So she is a working mom like ourselves, so I'm really excited to have her on the show. and have her input. So yeah, tune in, and we're looking forward to dissecting this novel with you. We'll be breaking it up into a couple different parts, so it'll be fun.
Yeah. And don't forget, we want to hear from you. If you have thoughts on Taurus season or suggestions for future reads, drop a comment below or message us on one of our social media platforms at Book Club After Dark Pod. Show us your fan art, theories, or anything bookish you'd like to share.
You can also visit our website at bookclubafterdark.co to stay up to date on our cozy content and check out our merch.
That's all for tonight. Sleep tight, night owls. Until next time, happy reading.